What's going on, everyone? I am the Kilted Cajun. Welcome back to my channel. And nothing's actually happened in Hogwarts Legacy drama on the interwebs in 5 minutes, so I figured I'd do another video. I saw this going around talking about the Saints Row franchise and the Saints after the Saints Row reboot last August, 6 months ago. Saints Row franchise in jeopardy. This little article from Game Rant. A report suggests that the future of the Saints Row franchise is in jeopardy after the critical and commercial failure of the 2022's reboot. And it got me wondering, why did it fail? There's a few reasons. Let's see what the article has to say. Rumors are suggesting that the future of the Saints Row franchise is in jeopardy, has had a few rocky few years, and it seems that may finally have caught up to Volition's open world games. This is kind of a shame because honestly, I was never into the Saints Row or the Grand Theft Auto style games, the over-the-top, gangster, violent. I mean, I played Grand Theft Auto way back in the beginning, when it was a top-down, drive around the city in your car game. They were fun, they were fantastic, but just not my thing long term. Saints Row franchise had vocal fans, especially last year, that didn't really care for the direction of the game, but more and more happened after the game was released that turned a lot of people off of it. So, news that Saints Row may be put to rest comes after the Saints Row reboot flopped, both commercially and critically. Fans criticized the dated graphics, oh boy did they ever, poor mechanics, and even worse writing. See, that was really part of it. Particular flaws that led to it being an unpleasant experience for players. Before the reboot, the last game in the series was Saints Row: Gat Out of Hell in 2015. Again, this was not well received by critics, really. Before that was Saints Row 4 in 2013, which for some fans is seen as the point the game jumped the shark. Yeah, my understanding is one and 2 were pretty good. They still were grounded in a little bit of reality, but still over the top, a little bit of the ultra violence. When 4 and 5 came out, they were just way too over the top. 5? Did I say 5? Yeah, Gat Out of Hell was 5. Article says many players out there would make the argument that the franchise has not seen good days since Saints Row 3 in 2011, which is why some may not be surprised by this recent news. So, why did it fail? Well, there's a few people who would argue, did it go woke? I don't know. Way back in August 2021, wow, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, year and a half. I have no concept of time right now. A little surprised at the massive backlash the Saints Row game is getting for featuring young, vibrant characters and setting instead of being gritty and serious. Personally, I never looked to this franchise for being grounded realism. Quite the opposite, actually. Okay, so way back when you could still see that little downvote, 14K up to 18K down. It's probably gotten worse since then. Saints Row hardcore gangbangers from the street. Reboot hipsters, which is a dated word, of course, wearing purple who decided to start a gang while drinking lattes at the coffee shop. These ain't no gangsters, man. They giving me some Watch Dogs 2 vibes. Never played Watch Dogs 2. In this game, Starbucks coffee regenerates your health. Spot on characters of hipsters. They're psychopaths who want to watch the country burn. But I think this last one, I read this last one, and I believe it tells you everything you need to know as far as the game's characters and why they were not well received. Privileged and douchey hipster students are about the least desired type of characters you could ever wish to control in a game. Seriously, what were they thinking? This game is literally about a group of TikTokers taking on drug cartels. This isn't Saints Row, this is Hipster's Alley. This right here is part 1, stage 1 of why this game was not well received. Yes, the Saints Row reboot was still over the top caricatures of the characters in question. However, when your protagonist is 100% unlikable, people aren't going to play it. They're going to judge it accordingly. They're going to call it woke. They called this game woke because the characters were unlikable douchebags, entitled, complaining about how they were going to pay off their student loans. This whole fucking screen is cut off. But there's more in this little article from The Gamer, published December 15th. When the game was released in August, it was an absolute buggy pile of trash, comparable probably to Cyberpunk 2077. However, in December, their first little patch, apparently, again from The Gamer, Saints Row 4 update is apparently as buggy as the reboot, crashing corrupted saves. This will kill your game right here. Corrupted saves. That people will simply turn it off, never play it again, chalk up their losses, and go about their merry way. Poor PC performance echo the problems of the Saints Row reboot. Oopsie doopsie. Back in August, Saints Row Reboot arrived as a buggy mess, understatement, leading to poor reviews and a promise from Volition to clean things up. Not everyone can be Hello Games with the No Man's Sky franchise. Hell, you still have CD Projekt trying to recover from the Cyberpunk debacle. They were sued by investors. They were almost a class action lawsuit. They lost so much damn money on refunds, returns, all this other stuff. Not everyone can follow that same track. Cyberpunk got revitalized with the anime on Netflix, which was fantastic. Go watch it. And it was held together in the beginning just by good story. So that was a major thing. In this article by VGC News, the first major Saints Row update promises over 200 bug fixes. I believe that's what this little article is referring to. 200 bug fixes. That's pretty massive. Probably not as big as Cyberpunk, but anyway, I keep bringing up Cyberpunk because that was a dumpster fire of a buggy mess on release. It couldn't play on the old gen consoles. It was so bad. Crashing. When I played it, I was crashing every 2 hours like clockwork. Volition has announced plans to release the game's first major update in November, and it was just as big of a problem as before. But let's go back to Den of Geeks. Saints Row Backlash explained why this reboot is already getting so much fan hate. Well, number one is unlikable characters. That's a big deal. If your fan base is looking for gritty, over-the-top ultra-violence, and you give them millennial, entitled, soy latte Starbucks, they're going to walk away. Saints Row is shaping up to be one of the year's most divisive games. Here are a few reasons why the discussion about this title feels especially heated. Claiming it's too woke. This was in the beginning. This was pretty much right out the gate from marketing, from advertising, all that stuff. While I'd love to be able to avoid this particular controversy altogether, you can't because it's part of the game. It's part of the game. Every article I've seen about the game that shall not be named, Hogwarts Legacy, they have lines like this, where we can't talk about the game without talking about the author of the book series that the game's based on. See, that's not the same. You can talk about the game without talking about someone who's 2 steps removed from it. Oh, well, she owns the IP. Yes, but she wrote the IP that the game is based on. Game, books, author. Is that 1 step or 2? I guess 1 step would be book author. 2 steps would be game, or would it be the game producer or developer of the game, book series, which is created by the author. So 2, 3 steps. This is part of the game itself. The characters are part of the game. The setting is part of the game. The original Saints Row games, 1 through 4, and their various add-ons, famously utilized an over-the-top take-no-prisoner style of humor that has off of the that's another big deal, and I believe Rockstar Games needs to pay close attention to this. They came out, Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto 6 came out and claimed that it wasn't going to use as much over-the-top, crass, crude obnoxious humor. And if you do that, you will destroy your franchise. People like the Grand Theft Auto series because of its over-the-top ultra-violence and disgusting, bigoted humor, because it's still humor. People are forgetting that. Saints Row moved away from that style and is going to pay the price for it. Volition is going to pay the price for it. But I digress. And that style of humor and general absurdity have long been its biggest weapons in that fight. Hey, so you know what happened. Generally speaking, Saints Row's ridiculousness has been its greatest asset. Yep, and when you dump that asset, you lose. You may or may not find things like dildo bats, dubstep guns, and a car repair shop called Rim Jobs. See, that's humor. That's funny. You may not find it funny, yeah, but your fan base did. The people who bought the game did. The people who played the game did. When you take that away, they walk away. But the franchise's willingness to really lean into that direction certainly helped it find an audience. And then you shit on them. To be very fair, that approach also contributed to some of Saints Row's best moments. There aren't many games that start with a gang leader becoming president of the United States only to eventually acquire superpowers that they use to defeat aliens, but that's exactly what a game like Saints Row 4 offers. Yeah, and some people say it fell off in Saints Row 4, but however, the willingness to go so far over the top and skewer absolutely everything, see, absolutely everything, they were an unbiased offender, meant that Saints Row often went too far. Well, that's your opinion. The people who bought the game, the people who put profits into Volition's pockets, disagree that it went too far. The Saints Row games have historically been filled with buzzword, being played for laughs. Yes, because they were jokes. Go back and watch Mel Brooks' old movies. Played for jokes. Because when you laugh at the sheer absurdity that racism is, that homophobia is, then you cannot take it seriously anymore. You cannot take homophobia seriously if all you do is laugh at the morons that are doing it. Maybe that's not what the game was achieving, but I hope you get the picture. Take the power away from the stupidity like that. Laugh at the people that act like that. The series actually did get a little better in that respect as it went on. Honestly, some Saints Row moments and characters are downright wholesome. Oh, we're going to have wholesome moments in Saints Row. Okay. But there's a degree to which embracing the franchise at its best meant being willing to tolerate, overlook, and yes, even love games at their worst. Right from the start, developers of Saints Row Reboot have been clear about their desire to target some of Saints Row's most offensive elements while attempting to retain some of the absurdity. Again, you take out what the players enjoy about the game, the absolute absurdity of the istophobianess, the buzzword stuff. It's over the top, it's comical, it's a caricature of real life. People find that funny. People laugh at those things. Your paying customers walked away when you took it out of the game. And then you made the main characters absolutely insufferable. Saints Row new cast of characters represent a tonal shift that some fans refuse to support. And hey, I guess that's their right. You know, if you don't like it, don't buy it. Guess what? They did, fuckers. Back to this other article. Franchise is in jeopardy. Apparently it cost $100 million to make this game, and I don't think they've gotten that back. Initially emerged as a competitor to Grand Theft Auto. Well, those days are long gone. The news that Saints Row may be put to rest comes after Saints Row Reboot flopped. Fans criticized the dated graphics. Okay, I already read that. Let's keep going. Oh. Right here. It would appear that the troubles of the Saints Row reboot have changed how IP owner Embracer Group is greenlighting games going forward. Good. Go back to basics. Find out, remember what worked before. Do that again. Get better writers. Get this ideological bullshit out of your game. Tell a good story, decent graphics, decent gameplay, mechanics. Go from there. You win. Look at Hogwarts. Anyway. In the Q3 2022 financial report released a couple of days ago, the company revealed that the underwhelming performance of console and PC titles has meant a change in approach and, quote, each project has to earn its right to exist. Oh, please, thank you. Leaving huge question marks over the future of Saints Row. Just make a good fucking game. Why is, like, make a good game, take the message out. Take the message completely out. Take the ideology completely out. Make the game. Make it good. Good mechanic. Oh, fucking sake. I don't understand why this is such a foreign concept for some developers. It would be a shame to see the series disappear all the time. As Grand Theft Auto needs a viable competitor, I will agree with that. Because, you know, shark cards, they're never going to be a GTA 6 at this rate. Though it seems that audiences have made their choice. Even 1 month after its release, the Saints Row reboot was outsold by a decade-old Grand Theft Auto 5. Good lord. How is Grand Theft Auto 5 still going? It's a 10-year-old game. And the game itself is outselling stuff. It's still... wow. It's 10 years old. It has only been a few months. It was only a few months ago that debate raged on about whether Saints Row Reboot would receive DLC. Oops, I don't think so. In light of the new developments, this now seems extremely unlikely. If the franchise is taken away from Volition, it's unknown what the studio will develop next. Well, if it sticks to the way they tell their stories and putting forth unlikable characters, well, the look, people like characters, they make their characters look like that, look outrageous, ridiculous, and everything. But when the dialogue is trash, when the attitudes are trash, when they are just completely and totally unlikable, players are going to move away from it. This was a failure from the start. Was it woke? It depends on your definition of woke. The marketing was terrible. The characters were unlikable. And when it was released, it was a dumpster fire of bugs and glitches. So, one thing after another led to the demise of the Saints Row reboot and possibly the Saints Row franchise. Will it be able to recover? I don't know. Put it in the hands of someone who actually cares about gameplay, character, and storyline. See what they can do. But that's all I've got for now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like, leave a dislike. I appreciate you making it this far either way. I'll see you in the next one.